Welcome back to KION News at 11. Time now for that full weather forecast. What's going on, Dan?
Well, we are looking back at some weather from the month of May. We've got some climatological data to share with you tonight. Wide as well. We'll start with Salinas. Got some good data for Salinas tonight. This is for the month. I don't usually present it like this. I'm trying to do something a little bit different here. So if you hate it, send me an email. But I just have been struggling to show all of our climate sites because some of the information comes in, you know, like 5 or 6 days into the month. And then by that time, I'm like, do people still care about the previous month? Because we're already talking about the next month. So anyway, we'll start with our Salinas climate site today. Our average temperature during the month in Salinas was 59.2 degrees, and that is 0.1 degrees off of the normal. So basically, normal temperatures, a very seasonable month of May for Salinas. The highest high was on the 9th at 81 degrees. The lowest low was at 44 on the 5th. And, you know, precipitation-wise, we had 0.09 of an inch. Total, that was 23% of the normal monthly value, which is about 0.38 of an inch. And that all came on one day, essentially the 12th. So that's kind of how May shaped up for Salinas. We'll take a look at some of the other climate sites in the coming days, but just kind of recap the month. It was windy but sunny. We didn't have a lot of May gray. We just had a lot of wind during the month of May. So, you know, that's probably why our temperatures averaged out, but it was also a little on the dry side. How about any rain in the forecast? Well, outside of that coastal drizzle, probably not much. We had some thunderstorms in the Sierra Nevada today, some of the high clouds associated with them. Moving across the Monterey Bay region late tonight, but not expected to get any precipitation from that. We do have an interesting parade of low pressure systems. There's one moving through the Four Corners, one setting off of the west coast right now. That brought some cooler air aloft in, which is why we cooled down inland today. And it's going to keep moving to the south of us tomorrow. So we're actually going to warm back up inland. In fact, inland temperatures are going to warm up between 6 and 10 degrees tomorrow after dropping between 5 and 10 degrees today. So it's almost like a wash if you look back to yesterday's temperatures as far as what to expect tomorrow. There is a big hot ridge sitting off to the northwest. It's still here. It's going to be here all week. The low itself will move south of us across maybe the southern California-Mexico border, then get absorbed into the flow. But ultimately, weak troughing will remain entrenched across the western U.S. So I think for the most part, I'm expecting slightly below normal temperatures for inland areas, especially as we head through the remainder of the week, at least through Thursday or so, as this troughing remains in place. It's going to keep slightly cool temperatures aloft, and it'll keep the marine layer slightly deeper as well, as we don't have a lot of pressure sitting on top of it. That does a couple things. It allows for cooler air to reach the valleys, but oftentimes with a deeper marine layer, we get a little more sunshine on the coast as well. It's that somewhat shallow but stable marine layer where the clouds really can stick around on the coast this time of year especially. So we're not quite there, but I do think we'll at least have the daily cycle of low clouds on the coast. Not just not a June gloom style week, which is probably going to keep our coastal temperatures seasonable as well. The ridge does try to push back a little bit this weekend, which ultimately will lead to some slight warming, even though there's still somewhat of a trough on the west coast, but the trough starts to warm up a little bit, so it's just not quite as cool. So to the point where we actually may be above normal by a couple of degrees as we head to the weekend. So that's kind of the outlook as we head through the next 7 days or so. As far as precipitation, outside of coastal drizzle, not looking likely. There's maybe a tiny chance over the far southern mountains of San Benito County that we get an isolated shower popping up at some point in time midweek, but doesn't really affect most of us right around the area. As far as overnight conditions, clouds slowly returning to the bay. We wake up probably to mostly cloudy skies for cities around the bay tomorrow morning. We'll still have some high cloud cover moving through. Into the afternoon tomorrow, the high clouds will disappear, so we'll get some sunshine, pure sunshine inland. On the coast, the marine layer does stabilize a little bit, but it may take a little bit later in the day for that to happen. So we may have a complete clear out on the coast for a while, and then later in the day, the clouds return to the east shore of the bay, especially. They may stay there in places like Marina and Moss Landing throughout the latter portion of the day, and those areas will be cooler as a result of those clouds sticking around. And of course, since they'll be present already by sunset tomorrow night, it'll be easier for them to thicken up around the bay. As far as temperatures are concerned, as I mentioned, tomorrow on the coast might be just a touch cooler, whereas inland we might be just a touch warmer, back into the mid-70s in Boulder Creek, but staying in the 60s in Santa Cruz and Capitola tomorrow. On the eastern shore of the bay, mostly low to mid-60s tomorrow. Back to 69 in Salinas, which is just a degree cooler than today, but Hollister, you're warmer than today. You get 74 today, 78 tomorrow. We're back in the 80s in the Santa Clara Valley. Over to Monterey and the peninsula, mid-60s, the seasonable high in Monterey, maybe a little bit cooler out to the points. Mid-60s also in Carmel and Seaside, and then down south, Hey, squeeze in a 90 back in there in Bradley tomorrow, but most of the Salinas Valley in the 70s and 80s. 7-day forecast for coastal cities reveals the temperature staying pretty seasonable here for the next 7 days, maybe a touch warmer out of the weekend. But I'm going partly cloudy almost every day. We have clouds in the morning, a little bit afternoon sunshine. You know, that's just how it's going to be, I think, for most of the week and into the weekend. As for inland folks, you will see mostly sunny skies for the rest of the week. Temperatures seasonable, and then start to bump up into the weekend with above normal values expected. Max?
When I thought I could say meteorological, you throw climatological.
Climatological, yeah.
I got to practice a
Yeah.
lot.
We'll
Thank you very much,
do
Dan.
some flashcards.
There we go.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. Thank you, Dan.